And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
We've had the great Ken Patera on many times, and he tells a story about Sergeant Slaughter beating up Billy Robinson. Can you share your recollection of that?
You know, I only heard about it. I wasn't there when it happened, but I saw Slaughter last week in St. Louis at this convention. And I said, I never really heard the story about you and Billy. But Billy was the kind of guy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. It's my youngest son. Billy would, he helped with Verne at the camp. Can you guys still see me?
Yeah, you're great.
Yes, sir.
All good.
Okay. He would take advantage of us. Get you in a position and drop you on your shoulder or back sideways and stretch you. And I'll tell you a couple of stories. We used to have these parties on Wednesday nights, and Wahoo and Ray Stevens were headed it up. And they made a punch. And in the punch, they had vodka and then whatever pills they threw in there. And they'd always say, don't more than one of these, right? So we're in this nice hotel in Minneapolis, and Brunzell, myself, Flair is there. Flair's now had two of these drinks, and we had this big room, and there was a room on the side, and he would go in, and he would go in there for a couple of minutes, come out with just his cowboy boots on and a cowboy hat, start naked, at attention. Ladies, it's showtime. So Billy Robinson was there, and he was getting pissed off at Flair. And Verne was there, and of course Ray and Wahoo and a few other guys, and we had a ton of women in there, and we don't know what happened, but Billy did something to Flair, and Flair was really shook up. And Verne told us all to get out of the room and close the doors. And we all got out. And it was just Billy and him in there. And the curtains we're all looking in the curtains, and Verne beat the shit out of Billy. And that was the second time, because Billy, like he said, he would take advantage of us. And he tried to take advantage of Sarge one day in the ring and hurt him. And he came up, and I guess the Sarge did a pretty good number on him. But Billy was that kind of a guy. I mean, he was so good in the ring, and he had so many moves, but he had an attitude about him, and it was hard to train with him because you never knew what he was going to do. We're trying to learn how to take a bump and how to protect ourselves, and he's trying to hurt us. And then the last hour of wrestling, we always had to do submission wrestling with him and Verne. And Verne would show us the holds and crank him up a little bit, but then he would, show us how to get out of them and get into another one. Billy, he would put on a submission hold. He'd try to break in half. When Verne wasn't at the camp. He took advantage of all of us. And I think if you ask Patera, Flair, Brunzell, Brugger's isn't with us anymore. Iron Sheik. He had Iron Sheik one day. He was a Greco-Roman wrestler, and you have to turn the guy. And we're up to doing 1,000 free squats before we start, and our legs are tight as shit. And Cosmo says, Billy, nobody can turn me. I am a Greco-Roman champion, nobody. And Billy said, oh, is that right? He said, well, get down on all fours. So he gets down on all fours, and Billy comes and drops a knee right into his thigh. Oh, coach. He could hardly walk for about 2 weeks. And then when he finally was able to get back, then Billy did something else, hurt Cosro's neck, but he'd show something. He'd just take advantage of you when you give him your body. And that's just a really a prick. Excuse me.
No. It's
So there
pretty
you have
obvious he was being a prick.
Yeah.
How does he make it in this business that way? Anyway, I got to ask you this.
Yep.
Sticking on Ken Patera, and I got to ask you this. We've had Ken on. He claims he didn't throw that rock through the McDonald's window. Could you please clear this up for us, please?
We don't know.
You don't know?
We listen to him tell the story. He said, listen to this. We know he went to the McDonald's. Here's the story he tells, that they just closed the doors and he said, I'd like to get a hamburger. We can't
Yeah,
give you.
I wanted to eat. I got you.
It can have had a few too. So he said the skinny kid, about 130 pounds, came up and he wanted to get a hamburger, and they wouldn't allow him. So he said the kid picked up this 30-pound rock and threw it through the window. We said, how much did he weigh? I don't know. He must have weighed 110, 115 pounds. He picked up a 30-pound boulder and threw it 15, 20 feet through this big window. Sure, Ken.
Okay.
So that's what Ken tells, and we were there. So I guess.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So basically, he's full of poop. But all right, we got you.
Greg,